Yeah, we're good now. Didn't get much sleep last night. Haven't got much sleep the last 4 nights. I think my daughter's teething. She wakes up about every 45 minutes. Makes mom and dad real happy. Okay, so solving rational equations. Okay, what we are going to do. Okay, we are going to start with things that are fractions. So like I have 3 over x minus 1/2 equals 12 over x. What is probably the thing that makes solving this equation the hardest? So Jack says finding the common denominator. So the simple fact that it's fractions, right? If this was not fractions, if you just had a nice linear equation, 3x plus 7 equals 12, that's easy. Everybody agree with that? The thing that makes this hard is fractions. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to eliminate those fractions so we have a nice equation like what we just had written. So to do that, we have to understand, which was part of the last lesson, what is our common denominator? Okay, well in this case, I know I need an x, because this has an x, and I know I need a 2, because this has a 2. Do I need another x, or can I just stick with one x as common denominator? I can just do one. So what is my common denominator? 2x. Okay, so for this to work, you have to be able to look at your equation, figure out what is my common denominator. Once I know what my common denominator is, I'm going to multiply every single thing times that. Okay, so let's do that. And some people like to set it up differently. If you want to do it like I'm doing it this time, feel free. I'll show you a different way in a second. But this seems to be the least confusing for people. Okay, so I'm going to take every single term of that, and I'm going to multiply it by my common denominator. Now, when I do that, that's like 2x over 1, right? 2x over 1, over 1. Okay? So can I cross-reduce if I'm multiplying like that? Yeah, because it's over 1, right? So I can cross-reduce here. So, what cancels out? In this case, the x here. So now here I get, what cancels out here? So I get negative x. Here, so I get, now I have a nice easy equation. So 24 minus 6 is 18, thank you. So x equals negative 18. Okay. Now, you are going to have to check these solutions. I'm not going to check this one right now. You're going to have to, because of these fractions, because you can't get a 0 in the denominator. You guys agree with that? So you got to be careful. You're going to have to check your solutions. I'm not going to do this one. We'll check the next one, though. Okay, not too bad. Again, the hard part, like Jack said, is going to be finding the common denominator. Okay, you're going to have to be able to find that. It's not always going to be this easy, but it's not going to be like what we did last lesson as far as finding common denominator. Okay, example 2. I have 5x over x plus 1 equals 4 minus 5 over x plus 1. Really? It's going to be that easy for us? Alright. What's your common denominator? X plus 1. It's pretty obvious in this case. So again, multiply everything by x plus 1. I'm not even going to actually show you the other way, because I think it's just going to confuse you. So we'll leave it like this, because this is pretty easy, right? Okay. So, over here, what cancels? The entire x plus 1. So I get 5x equals. What do I got to do here? 4x plus 4, which is distribute, right? So you just got to be careful with that. Make sure you get that to everything. That x plus 1 is in parentheses. Okay, and over here, cancel out the x plus 1's, I get negative 5. So I can reduce a little bit, but let's go ahead and move this over, and I get x equals negative 1. Okay, so x would equal negative 1, but you got to go back and check this. Okay, when I plug in negative 1, what happens? It makes a 0 in the denominator. Can you have the 0 in the bottom of a fraction? No, you can't take something and divide it by 0. Okay, you can't split something into 0 parts. It's not possible. Okay, so is this actually a solution? No. So what would my answer to this be? No solution. So it shouldn't be super hard for you to check your answers, but you do need to do that. Now, what if it happened to work here? It worked here, but then it didn't work over here. Still no solution. Okay, if it doesn't work in one place, then it's no solution. Okay. Doing okay so far? Not bad so far. I just gotta look here real quick. Okay. We're only gonna do one more example here. It's the exact same thing, it's just a little bit more challenging. I have 3x minus 2 over x minus 2 equals 6 over x squared minus 4 plus 1. The first thing that you should have noticed when I started doing this was what? The difference, those are perfect squares. So I have a difference of 2 squares here, right? So is this factored all the way? No. Just like what we've been doing, before you start working these problems, you want to factor these as far as you can. Can I factor this? No. So I still have 3x minus 2 over x minus 2 equals 6 over, what's this factor to? X plus 2, x minus 2, plus 1. Okay. Spencer, what's my common denominator going to be? X plus 2, x minus 2. So I need to multiply this whole thing times x plus 2, x minus 2. Remember, we're multiplying everything by the entire common denominator. So this one, x plus 2, x minus 2. And this one, x plus 2, x minus 2. Mitch, what cancels over here? My x minus 2's. So I have x plus 2 times 3x minus 2. What are you going to have to do when we go back and do this? Using FOIL. Okay, equals, Isaiah, what cancels here? The middle here. Yeah, both of them, right? So I just have 6 plus, what do I get over here? X plus 2, x minus 2. Okay. This FOILs to x times 3x is 3x squared, x times negative 2, minus 2x, and 2 times 3x is 6x. So I have 6x and negative 2x. So 4x minus 4 equals, now before I do this, I'm going to do this first. What is this FOIL to? X squared minus 4. So I should have 6 plus x squared minus 4. I knew that just because we factored that from that. So what do I actually get on the right side? X squared plus 2. Hopefully we're noticing that I have a quadratic. What do I have to do if I have a quadratic? How am I going to solve this? I got to get it equal to 0. So I need to take this x squared and move it left, and I need to take this 2 and move it left also. So when I bring this x squared over here, I get 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 equals 0. Now from here, there's a few ways you can solve this. There's actually 4 or 5. I would say the most common for us is to factor and use quadratic formula. Okay? Personally, I would try to factor this first. I'd take out a 2. So then I have x squared plus 2x minus 3. So what multiplies to negative 3 and adds to positive 2? Negative 3 and positive 1. So when I factor this, I have 2 times x plus 3 and x minus 1. Right? Is everybody following? Good, Mitch? Now how do I actually figure out what x is, though? I set x plus 3 equal to 0 and x minus 1 equal to 0, right? So what do I get out of this one? Negative 3 and positive 1. Would you have gotten the same thing if you used quadratic formula? Yes, you should have. Okay, so here's my answer. I need to do what? Just double check and make sure they both work. Okay, well, if I plug negative 3 in here, am I okay? Am I good? And I'm obviously fine over here. What about positive 1? Okay, so I'm good, right? Okay. So our answer is negative 3 and positive 1. Does everybody remember quadratic formula? Because they're not all going to be able to be factored. No? Yes? Some say yes, some say no. What is it? Good. Okay, there's your quadratic. You might have to use that. You're going to have to know that for the test, which is 4 days from now. Your chapter test. What's that? You can take it Thursday. We're doing 2 days of review. We're reviewing Wednesday and Thursday, so you can take it Thursday if you wanted. Okay, any questions on that? Alright, we are going to add on to this tomorrow because I know there's a handful of people gone today, so I'm not going to overwhelm them too much. So, but we did get the majority of the lesson out of the way right there.